Hello to all the panelists, co-panelists, and I think a lot of people have registered to see. Hello to all the participants also. So the topic that I have chosen today is temperature control management in pharma supply chain. So I think a lot of the co-panelists have covered a lot of what I really wanted to share, because when we talk about the pharmaceutical supply chain, the core aspect or the for the temperature controlled pharmaceutical products remains the cold chain. So what are the nitty-gritties for cold chain management? I'm going to just cover up that topic. Um, so cold chain management, basically, when we talk about cold chain, what exactly it is? From the time the pharmaceutical product is manufactured till the time it is administered to the patient. For example, an insulin product needs to remain in 2 to 8 degree temperature from the time it is being manufactured, stored, and transported, and then again stored, and then administered to the patient. The whole chain requires to be in 2 to 8. So this is just an example. So that is the cold chain management that it maintains from the time of its manufacturing till the time it is administered to the patient. And what do the statistics say? I just heard Mr. Sharad say, and the other panelists saying, that around 50% of the vaccines are getting wasted. The statistics are completely correct when he says that around 35 billion of the total pharmaceutical product is getting wasted because of the incorrect supply chain, because of the incorrect temperature, because of the broken cold chain. So this is what the WHO numbers also say, that 25% of the vaccines reach their destination in degraded state because of the incorrect shipping. 30% of the scrapped pharmaceuticals can be attributed to logistic issues alone, and 20% to 30%. And now I think the numbers have rather increased. I was just looking at it. It's around 50% of the temperature sensitive products are damaged because of the broken cold chain, and it comes around to be 35 billions in total globally, which is insane. And why temperature is important to be maintained? Just to give you a quick example, when the temperature outside is 21 degrees Celsius, and when you keep the same product, let's say a pharmaceutical product, on the tarmac near the runway at the airport, it can just go to 55 degrees Celsius. When the temperature outside is 21, at near the aircraft it could be 55 degrees Celsius, and at that temperature you can fry an egg in 20 minutes. So this is what happens when an unprotected pharmaceutical shipment is kept without any coverage or anything, at the runway, if it is going by air, so which could be disastrous. So why is it important? First of all, it is required and enforced by authorities and covered under good distribution practices. So there are no single document, basically, which talks about it, but there are documents like WHO guidelines are there, WHO GDP guidelines are there, European guidelines are there, PICS guidelines are there. So there are different FDA have made certain guidelines. So put together, they have a good distribution practice. We have Cedisco good distribution practices here. If you read them all, they all talk about mostly the same things, certain similar aspects, but USA is following one and India is following one, and then they have that good distribution practices. And why is it important? Because it ensures product integrity, which then ensure the patient safety. You must have heard, I think I was very young when I heard that incident happening, that a nurse, administered some drug, some vaccine to the children, and suddenly few of children died because of the vaccination. And why that happened? Because the nurse forgot to keep it in the fridge, and at the time there was no training, there was no nothing, and people didn't know about it. And then after that, when the investigation happened, it came around, the investigation revealed that the vaccine was kept not in a refrigerator but just outside. So that could be the implication. It could just hamper patient safety at a great level. Of course, the risk are the patient could be administered an unsafe drug, and lack of compliance with global regulatory and standard-based requirement. It can increase liability, and it could be, It could hamper the brand, and so many things can happen. And thermal variability can lead to inconsistency of results between and within the batches also. When the drug is being manufactured, if it is being not being stored properly, even at the manufacturing level, thermal variability can lead to different results in the product, because of the different temperature at which it is being made and stored. And the shipment can be rejected by quality department, therefore leading to costly delays and increasing the complexities of the trial management altogether. Now, cold chain, when we do not give enough importance to it. If we do not give importance to it, the impacts could be very, very direct. The efficacy levels could be, different. Sometimes people say, "I have taken the vaccine, I have taken this thing." Then why, there were cases of the rabies that people have taken the rabies vaccinations, but still they died. And there has been so many other cases, if you go into the research and see. So the efficacy of the drug is hampered. At the time, also at the time of the COVID, a lot of vaccines, although people have taken the vaccines, but there was no impact to it. And it is very difficult for now, to talk about it. And a lot of research might have happened, but if it is not stored, vaccines are not stored properly, or if they are not administered at the right temperature, it could not give an impact of it, but it could be disastrous as well. And then these failures could lead to loss, penalties, and brand damage. That is another chapter altogether. Then what should be done? Basically, to manage the cold chain, you must have heard about lane risk assessment. If a pharmaceutical product has to travel from one place to another, and now I particularly talk about when a temperature controlled product is going by air. So if it is going by air, or if it is going by road, also if it is going by any transportation mode, the most important aspect of it is that we do the lane risk assessment. That means before sending the actual shipment, we test the whole thing. We test which package it should go in, which route it should go in, what is the total temperature it has been endured, the packaging system is enduring, what is the temperature inside, what is the temperature outside, what is the total time taken, and validating the whole thing, validating the whole aspect of it. That is the lane risk assessment. And I think whenever in a pharmaceutical supply chain, if any shipment is going, any pharmaceutical shipment is going, any drug is life-saving drug is traveling from one place to another, it is important. It should be planned. If it is not like an urgent thing, it should really be planned in advance, and all things should be checked, tested, documented, so that there are no problems. And while you do the lane risk assessments, we use the validated packaging solution. Like I just gave an example of, how simple temperature of 21 degrees Celsius can actually change to 55 degrees Celsius when it is kept at the tarmac. So what will save the shipment? What will save that life-saving drug? Only a validated packaging solution, which is tested to work at 55 degrees Celsius, which is tested that even if it is kept at 55 degrees Celsius, the internal temperature for a 228 will remain 228, by the use of phase change materials, by the use of different technologies. And while we do the lane risk assessment, we use the validated packaging solution. The whole process must be SOP driven, because what we are doing right now may not, whatever we are doing here, whatever processes we have made in the company, it would not be known to the ground handling people who are actually handling the shipment once it is out of your control. So all the processes must be SOP driven, and all the stakeholders must be trained, and they must have an accountability of handling that particular procedure. So operationally, SOPs must be there, and every person in the link must be trained and should have an accountability for it. And while we do everything, there has to be an end-to-end visibility. So that's why now we have the temperature loggers, IoT enabled temperature loggers, which do not only give us the temperature, but they give us the shot, shock, they give us the light, they give us the vibrations. So all kind of alerts can now be received of what is happening to the shipment, and then we can have the end-to-end visibility. So these are some of the best practices that we can follow. Now, this is just to give you an example of how a cold chain, can have an impact, or how, the external factors can have an impact on the internal life-saving drug or a vaccine. Here, in this, you can easily see that when the temperature is 15 degrees Celsius outside, the internal temperature is 5 degrees Celsius. For a two, I am just taking an example of 2 to 8, but there are other temperatures also, like minus 25 to minus 15, like minus 80 to minus 20, or minus 196. There are different temperatures. But, I'm just taking an example of 2 to 8 for the ease of discussion. So when the outside temperature is 15 degrees Celsius, the internal temperature is 5 degrees Celsius. But when the external temperature drops down to 7 degrees Celsius, the internal temperature can drop down to minus 1 degree Celsius. This especially happens when you choose a particular type of a package, which is a mix, frozen and refrigerated. It's a mix of a frozen and refrigerated gel packs. So this can happen in that kind of a package. But if you are using a PCM based, single temperature based, packaging, then this will not happen. So this is an example of how storage can impact, how a particular kind of validated packaging system can have an impact on the internal temperature. And then, can we say that we can control while we use all these best practices and we do whatever we can? Is it really possible to control 100% of the air freight cold journey? We say no. Why? Because this is what your shipment would go through if it is going by air. First of all, it will be picked and packed from the storage. Then it will be transferred to the pickup vehicle. When it picks, when it gets transferred to the vehicle, it is important that the temperature of the vehicle is also maintained. Then it will go to the airport. Then it will be unloaded at the airport. Then it will be stored at the airport. It is very, very important that it is stored at the airport at the right temperature. And then it gets staged at the tarmac, where the most temperature excursions actually happens. That is why now there is a lot of talk about using the cool dollies for staging on the tarmac. And then it actually goes to the aircraft. What would be the temperature of the aircrafts? When it goes to the cargo hold, it is the controls are basically at the pilot's hand. He can maintain it between 18 to 23 degrees Celsius. If it is not maintained, then again it's a problem. And then it gets unloaded on the tarmac. Again, it gets the exposure to the temperatures like 55 degrees Celsius. Then it will be stored at the destination airport, and then it will be transferred to the delivery vehicle. Then it will be delivered to the depot, and then it will be going to the different facilities. So at each stage, there is a risk of the temperature excursion in the chain, and that is why it is very important that we study the whole thing, and we do the lane risk assessment. We document the lane risk assessment, and according to the findings, then we make the required changes if need be. And then we make the SOPs, and then we train everyone around. That's what is important. And that is why before shipping, it is said that we should always understand the temperature requirement, and then we should select the right packaging, and we should check the we should always do the qualified packaging, and then complete the training of all involved. If required, of course, write all the SOPs, set up and plan the shipment in line. And then continuous communication throughout the transit is important. So before the shipment is actually, temperature control shipment is actually happening, we should actually be doing everything in advance, and then we should ship the shipment. And how technology can help us, as I said, we have the real-time monitoring devices, smart data loggers, and now with the help of AI, we also have the predictive analysis. We say that, let's say we have to send the shipment to X country, South Africa, or any other country. What is the temperature of that country? Which flight we are choosing to send it in? Whether at the destination or in the transit, we have the storage available or not. Based on all these conditions, we can do the predictive analysis and choose the right kind of package, choose the right kind of lane and everything. And then these days, people are talking a lot about control tower, that we have, a control tower where all the shipments which are on the way, we have the dashboards showing the where is the shipment at the time, what is the external temperature, what is the internal temperature. With the use of all these technologies, we can somehow make sure that there are no wastages, there are no problems, and there are no problem with the temperature control management of the vaccines, life-saving drugs, etc. And that's my time. Thank you so much.